So we'll get into the next little bit of the video. Here we go.
Verses is, do not think I came to abolish the law of prophets. I did not come to abolish, but to fulfill. We'll get back to that. For truly I say to you, until heaven and earth pass away, not the smallest letter or stroke shall pass from the law. Right here, this word right here, if you know English, you can comprehend it. Until means it's going to happen, right? None of that's going to happen until all is accomplished. What does that mean? Let's get into it.
I told you, just some hyper focus on the word until. And now we're going to go into fulfill at the end of 18. It's funny we don't go to 17 because they're actually two different words that are used there. 17 at the end of it says, did not come to abolish but to fulfill. The word would be plerosai. The word that's used at the end of 18 where it says fulfilled is genome. Two different words that are used there, but he's going to get into it.
Comprehend it. Until means it's going to happen, right? None of that's going to happen until all is accomplished. What does that mean? Let's get into it. First of all, he did say he came to fulfill the law. What does that mean? If I sign a contract or a covenant with somebody for a certain amount of time in the military for 4 or 5 years, if I do the 4 or 5 years, that contract, that covenant is fulfilled. It's come to completion. Therefore, I didn't just abolish it. I fulfilled the stipulations of that contract. And once I fulfilled it, it's null and void. It's abolished, no longer in effect. Right? We go.
So by that understanding, he used like the military 4 or 5 years or something like that. I'm assuming he's talking about like an active service, which again you could like reinstate. I mean, if you're talking about the military, or get promoted or have the option of staying in there. So I mean, if we use that analogy, then sure, let's put that into let's put that in the terms of the covenant obedience, right? You can do these things for 4 or 5 years and then just decide to separate yourself from God and go live like the world, or you can stay in covenant or in service with the military and continue to be obedient. So I have no problem with his analogy, but I don't think that he understood the other aspect of it. I mean, are you going to continue to be obedient, or are you going to end the contract and say, never mind, right? But if we apply that same outlook, that same standard that he's using in, say, a marriage, you have certain stipulations, and there's typically not a, well, actually, yeah. You say, till death do us part, right? The Most High, multiple times, when Moshe is given the law, says these things are a permanent statute, a perpetual statute, forever throughout your generations, meaning forever. So until death do you part, right? If you apply that same standard to the marriage and say, okay, what are the stipulations? I'm gonna be faithful to you. I'm gonna love you in sickness and health. Trying to think of the traditional vows. I'm just gonna be loving towards you. Like I really suck this. I don't know the traditional vows. We didn't do traditional vows. Anyways, name your state. You're gonna be faithful, sickness and health. Gonna make you fried chicken every Tuesday. Whatever. If by that same standard, I, for a set amount of time, we'll say 5 years, I was faithful to my wife. I loved her in sickness and health. I made her fried chicken every Tuesday. I was loving towards her, brought her flowers, picked up my clothes off the floor, all these things for 5 years. And then I just decided, it's fulfilled. I don't need you anymore. I'm going to move on. Just wipe my hands and be done with it. I mean, is that the same I mean, because how many times does the Most High liken his relationship, to a husband and a bride, right? The church would say that we are the bride of Christ, right? By that same standard, if you apply those allegations of fulfilled to the marriage, then after a certain period of time, I could just say, it's fulfilled. I don't need you no more. Sayonara. I mean, is that really how you think? Because that's not how we should be. This is a covenant relationship of a perpetual nature, meaning that these laws are permanent. They're not conditionary, meaning that you can choose to do them and still be in covenant. They are conditionary, meaning that if you do this, you will live. That's what he says in the Torah. If you do this, you will live. And we understand that that is a prophetic, kind of language, meaning that it's not just, you're never going to stop breathing breath. It means that you will live in his kingdom, because that's the standard in the kingdom, right?
Right, we go with Jesus upon the cross. After this, Jesus, knowing that all things had already been accomplished, to fulfill the scriptures, said, I am thirsty. A jar full of sour wine was standing there. So they put a sponge full of sour wine upon a branch of hyssop and brought it up to his mouth. Therefore, when Jesus had received the sour wine, he said, it is finished, or accomplished. And he bowed his head and gave up.
I'm assuming he's referencing this because of, the it is finished, which what is finished is not the law. What is finished is the necessary requirements for his ransom, for his unaliving, what had to take place concerning his ransom for us. And for you to make light of that just because you don't want to be obedient to the Most High and his law, I mean, that's concerning. What law do you follow? Because you'll say Christ's law, but Christ kept this law. You even say so yourself, that he fulfilled it so that you don't have to. He kept this law. His law, which is not his, but the one who sent him, John 17, is God's law. That's his law. But the word teleos is what is used there in the John passage that he reads. And it means, complete. It is, finalized. It's also used in like Matthew 10 to signify the towns. You shall not go over all the towns. You shall not have gone over all towns. That word teleos is used there. Matthew 5:17 and 18, there's two words used. We already addressed this kind of. Matthew 5:17 says plerosai, which is to, fully preach. And then genome, fulfilled, which, so it's fulfilled. I mean, that would be the fulfillment, right? I wanted to read this. This is Matthew 3. And it says, John would have prevented him, saying, I need to be baptized by you, and do you come to me? And Jesus answered them, let it be so now, for it is proper for us in this way to fulfill all righteousness. The same word, plerosai, is used there. If your understanding is that, the fulfill as a antonym for abolish is that it means abolish too, then baptism is no longer applicable either, because he fulfilled that. He fulfilled that, which means we don't have to. That would be your understanding. That would be your reasoning. And again, that makes no sense.